Listen. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. KDot, rough day yesterday, wouldn't you say?
I put my hoodie up with the hair and the I was gonna try to get some the Grim Reaper sort of vibe going. At least that's the vibe. Yeah, it's been a grim 24 or 36 hours. Ow! Just stubbed my toe.
So Grim, how many hours now? 36 and yeah.
Something like that. Although the Formula One race went really well for me as a McLaren guy, 2 guys in the top 5. But then everything went to shit, including my fantasy team. 65 points. What the fuck?
Oh man, don't even talk to me about fantasy football right now. It has been an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster across the board. I thought I had it all figured out. You never do when you think you do. That's just how it is.
Yeah, man.
But let's talk about this game because that's what we're here to do, unfortunately. So the Cowboys end up winning the game 25-10. It was close at halftime. And it felt like, hey, we could turn this around. And then the second half just was an absolute ass whooping. I don't know how else to describe it, Kate. What were your thoughts on the game? And I mean, by all means, take your time and just let it all out.
So I got a lot of thoughts.
Perfect.
And yeah, you might need to stop me, or maybe as you're going through this, if you're sick of my voice, maybe pause it.
Never sick
as you're going through. I mean, never. Even the listeners, maybe they need to pause and soak it in all more than one feeling. Look, I predicted we'd lose this game. I'm looking at the schedule that I had when we did the way too early prediction. And it's something that you would ask me again if I was going to stick with. And I did. So far, the only game that I saw ending differently as far as the outcome was the Detroit Lions game. I thought we'd win that one. Mm-hmm. I don't believe I'm as doom and gloom as everybody around DC is today. Same thing that happened after last week, but back-to-back division losses, which I predicted is never going to feel good, and it's compounded by 30 years of mediocrity that makes everyone feel like absolute dog shit. Now, there are some legitimate concerns in the way that we did lose this game that, I mean, I don't know if there's anything really to hang your hat on, but I'll give it a shot. Well, you know what? Here's what I'll do. Before I get to the positives, let's focus on the negatives, right?
Sure.
Let's stick where everybody is with the doom and gloom of what's happening here.
Let's start there.
The game went bad. We were in this thing up until the third quarter, pretty much, right? Like, and even at that point, like when we scored the field goal, there was it looked like we were going to be able to move the ball. But at the end of the first half, it was a 12-7 game. I don't know if people remember, we were leading at one point in this game, 7-6, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the things that we've seen the last few weeks have just reared their heads again, or at least something that feels like it's reared its head again in this game, which feels bad, which is, look, the defense looks like overall compared to where it is we've seen after the Detroit Lions game, looking what they did against Philadelphia and what they've done against Dallas, they're making strides, right? But there's still issues as far as the defense. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows glaringly William Jackson is getting burnt all the time. He had one good play in coverage, man coverage, I might add you. Beyond that, he had the one good stop behind the line of scrimmage on the running back, the hell of a tackle in the backfield. But beyond that, all he was getting burnt or getting defensive pass interference. I think 3 penalties for 70 yards worth of offense there sent to the Cowboys, which is a killer, right? You see these plays where you got guys like the CeeDee Lamb touchdown deep where looks like he just takes a walk off to the corner of the end zone.
Ugh.
The money that they've paid William Jackson, we should be getting more results. That being said, what I thought that we saw in the Philadelphia game when William Jackson did not play for us was Benjamin St. Juste doing a really good job on the outside. And with what William Jackson is known for doing, playing more man coverage, and even seeing what he was able to do in this game with tackling the ball carry beyond the line of scrimmage, why isn't he in the slot? Is there any reason other than we're paying this guy this much money so he shouldn't be a slot receiver, that he's not playing there? Like that to me is something that strikes out to me. That it's the defense, while they're making strides, still shoot themselves in the foot by being stubborn and not wanting to change certain aspects. And that to me, and the William Jackson thing even expounds on one person who's getting a lot of criticism this week is Ron Rivera. I'd say rightfully so in a lot of ways. We talked about it even last week.
Yeah.
Ron's biggest thing for me is that, look, you usually got you got two types of teams that usually try to run the NFL historically. Ones that try to build themselves up through the draft, and ones that try to put it together through free agency. The ones that try to put it together through free agency, the Washington Redskins used to do, Dan Snyder, overpriced free agents, this, that, and the other. It never really failed to work out until you've seen the Rams actually win a Super Bowl, putting that all together. Getting the proper guys, making the right free agent signings in conjunction with the draft. Right now, if I'm looking around Rivera and the Washington team, the biggest inroad they need to make is these free agents. They've not been good, at least to what it is that we need them to do. And I don't understand paying this guy this much money and not getting the absolute best output that you can from him. And that's not at outside in this zone defense at corner. You're not going to get the best out of William Jackson there. And right now, you need some sort of return on the investment that's being made because you're not getting shit right now. That bugs the hell out of me on defense. Otherwise, on defense, these guys, they played their asses off. Look, I get even with the backup quarterback and Cooper Rush, but when they got that rush, they kept Pollard and Zeke contained for the most part and gave us an opportunity, more than one opportunity, to really get this game on offense or win this game on offense. So I think the defense moving in the right direction, even though there's certain things that they're being too goddamn stubborn on, where you're going to have some offenses that we have to meet out, where if we don't get that shit shored up, we're going to let go a lot of fucking points.
Yep. Just to reinforce a couple of your points. William Jackson, just looked up the contract to be sure. 3 years, $40.5 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. And for the way he got burned on Sunday, right? Everyone, including William himself, would say, hey, we're not getting it done here, right? And then, sorry, I got a Starbucks ad just pop up that just won't go away. But 19 carries for 49 yards for Zeke Elliott and 8 carries for 6 yards for Tony Pollard. I mean, I had to double check that to make sure that I was seeing that right. I mean, it's good stuff. It's good stuff overall.
It's great. And you look, compared to what it is we thought after week 2, and everybody doom and glooming on the defense, and us looking at each other wondering, is there any reason for us to feel hope? They're writing it. They're starting to right the ship there.
I actually do want to check if that's a typo. Did Tony Pollard really only have 8 carries for 6 yards?
Yes.
That
8 carries, 6 yards, 1 reception, 2 yards.
Wow. That is amazing. Because I knew he didn't feel that impactful, but I didn't realize just how good, we did containing Tony Pollard.
Longest run they had was 9 yards.
Right. And so all I wanted to say was, obviously, like you had mentioned, William Jackson III not doing well. Does Chase Young coming back, and it doesn't look like it's happening this week, but does Chase Young coming back, that energy, that spark, we've talked about it as fans, KDot, do you think that's enough to fix this stuff, or do you think it's?
I just told you how to fix this stuff
at this point.
I'm telling you how to fix this stuff. Like, look,
move him in, right?
You move him in. You have St. Juice, Fuller, who's a liability at times, does a better job than fucking Jackson does. And that's where that is as far as the way they're looking at the defense. But the way that they script coverage itself in that defense is not necessarily working to everybody's best benefit. They did a good job as far as the run. The pass rush is still not getting home, but that's got a lot more to do with the secondary and that mid-level, which is still what I've been talking about all season long. If you pass the ball,
D-tackle injuries.
And the D-tackle injuries. But if you pass the ball between 5 and 12 yards against Washington, you've got an automatic catch, pretty much. Yeah. And you're probably going to get yak out of it, right? Also, on the defense, especially in that secondary, is the deep balls. The thing that's probably the most demoralizing thing that you could see is go and take a look through the box scores and look at the opponent's receiving yards and take a look at the longest catch that they have. That shit is it's like you look long, 31, 30, 45. Like, we get gashed by these guys sometimes. look, Chase Young coming back is only going to help that pass rush, right?
Right.
But once again, the pass rush is only going to be as good as the defensive backs can cover, as the linebackers can cover. Jamin Davis, we've seen, has made inroads. He's been doing better, right? Still in the wrong position a few times in this game, especially in coverage. It is a liability having him there, but we knew that going into the season. Once again, Ron Rivera, you got to eat that. But the thing is that if Jamin Davis is not doing the jobs that we need him to do in coverage, right, then why aren't we bringing him as the extra man to kind of blitz, to maybe put things even – like they're relying on that front four and the athleticism of that front four to get there. If they're not getting there in time, we know the secondary is an issue, but you know what else you can add to the mix? Blitzes.
Yep.
Try to get there another way. Bring an extra guy. Bring Jamin Davis. Slide some guys around. Do whatever you need to do. Get some stunts on the defensive line. Do slides around. Whatever. They don't look as though on defense even that they're dictating things. It's all reactive, it feels like, on defense. And that to me is you need to bring it to them.
You know what? And watching other NFL defenses, I get almost startled when they make a stop consistently, because what we do is anything but that. I want to say that the defense has been a bit better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Detroit game in particular was horrible. We were talking about Del Rio just being gone immediately because of the offseason stuff, plus that performance, stuff like that. It has gotten better. It's still not good.
Right.
You know, and so there's a ways to go there, and we acknowledge that. But the one thing I wanted to say in transitioning to sort of the whole team aspect of it was that when we scored our touchdown to go up 7-6, and by the way, just love Jahan Dotson. It's awesome having him on this team. I think we've hit a home run with that first round pick.
Hey, now he's hurt.
What'd you say?
Now he's hurt.
And now he's hurt. But still love him. Up 7-6. And then the defense, St. Juice gets a pick.
Yep.
And all of a sudden we're like, oh, here we go. But there's a flag on the play on St. Juice. Then it's a 3rd and 8. Michael Gallup catches a ball. It just, we haven't put together 2 consecutive drives as an offense and defense to be able to swing momentum in quite some time. So if the defense has a really nice stop, the offense will sputter. If the offense has a touchdown, defense is going to collapse. So I would love to see a little bit of continuity on both sides, you know, to be able to swing the momentum of a game. And it feels like it's been a while. And I think that's why people are feeling this despair and lack of hope. And like you mentioned in the last podcast, KDot, we've got Tennessee and Chicago in the span of, I want to say, 10 days. So we can, it's within the realm of possibility to jump to 3-3. It's just, it's difficult, right? Given how people are feeling right now, given the assignments that defensive players don't seem to know. You know, we talk about Jamin Davis. We talk about William Jackson not being utilized properly, it seems. So, I don't know. How are you feeling about those 2 games coming up?
If I look back at my prediction, I got some wins coming our way. But
right. Do you still feel that way? Sort
of, yeah. But I mean, once again, we started this by my whole rant, right? And I'm still ranting. But the
please continue. Yeah.
No, good. We need to cut this up, you know?
You're right.
So the thing is that so I've been focused on the positives, just the defense. And even with the issues on defense, I'm saying, here's your blueprint on certain things that you guys can do to get that consistency on defense more, right? To look, I think we have 1 turnover this season, which is not enough. If we have that, I think it is 1.
Actually,
it's not enough that's happening, right? We're not getting the pass rushers aren't getting there to create the situation where we have the sacks, putting them in terrible positions on 3rd down or 2nd down and long, right? Then even beyond that, you're not getting Montez Sweat coming around the edge with those long arms getting after a football. Those are fumbles that you're missing, right? Like those are things that are not happening with the way the defense is playing. Because once again, I don't think they're playing in a way in which is dictating anything. They're so reactive. They stay so far back away from everything. They play so far off. It's a bend but don't break defense. And look, like I said, they've done a lot of things really, really well. But they're getting. You look and you see the total yardage between Washington and Dallas. They're not that far off. We were leading in time of possession for a certain part of the game too.
Yeah,
but the big plays, the penalties, the things that keep the drives going, the things that kill all the momentum that you might have on defense and the demoralizing feelings, right? Or something that you can look at certain traits of those and say, oh shit, I remember that last year. I remember that even in 2020 at certain parts, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where I go into the coaching. To me on defense is where I'm having the biggest issue. There's a talent evaluation standpoint that I have an issue with as far as the linebacker position. We've talked about that ad nauseum. But I also talk about the way the defense itself is being schemed and the way they're being coached. Penalties are something that I absolutely will look at a player and say, what the fuck are you doing? But I also look at coaching. What the fuck are you doing to allow these guys? Man, look, everybody's talked about it. The officiating in this game was dog shit.
Yes, it was really bad. Like the really running into the kicker that never got called, he literally ran into the kicker.
Really rough. But the way that I looked at it rough was not that the Washington defense didn't get penalized. I agree with almost every penalty that the defense got. It was that the offense wasn't getting the penalties too, right? So much of people want to talk about the officiating. William Jackson, even after the game, want to talk about how they protect the offense, this, that, and the other, and then try to save it all by saying, yeah, but it's not the fault of the officials, it's us. No, take full ownership and responsibility, brother. Don't half-ass it. You don't need to half-ass it. You don't need to have the out. It's I got burnt all goddamn day long, and I was struggling. I was trying to rip and claw at guys. I was trying to be more physical, seeing if that could dictate. It did not work. I got to go back, and I got to look at the tape, and I got to do better next week. That's ownership. And guess what? The players ain't learning from the coaches.
Because if I look at the secondary on paper, I don't think it should be this bad. Right.
It should, because here, look at this. I don't know if you're like me, but I look at certain guys in the secondary and look at all these times over the last 3 years that they excited me.
Yes.
Derek Forrest had moments where he excited me. Cam Curl has absolutely had moments where he
actually had a good game start.
And had a fairly good game.
Yeah.
Had a fairly good game. Although they keep talking about who was at fault. Was it Cam or was it Jackson in that long touchdown? I still think it was Jackson, just the way that what the fuck was he guarding? You got to squeeze that guy. Whatever. Beyond that, I lost my train of thought.
It's going to happen a lot, by the way.
It's all over the place. But listen, it's like the on defense, they're just not getting things done. And I look to coaching as being the number one. It's coaching and talent evaluation. I other than William Jackson, who once again I think is playing out of position. He's playing out of position. So there's been so much I can ask of this guy that you knew what he did before you signed him. And there you're asking him to do something else.
So if we're talking long-term, KDot, you mentioned coaching, you mentioned talent evaluation. Let's say we do go on a bit of a run and we finish with the record anywhere between 7-10 and 10-7. Do you have faith in the long-term health and growth of this team moving forward with the current coaching staff?
No.
And okay.
There's not on defense. Look, they could do a lot, but the lack of turnovers, the stupid mistakes, the stupid errors, and the fact that they have not done what I've seen to be any actual coaching as far as the X's and O's and X's and O's as far as game planning anything defensively, to me speaks to. I look at the rank of our offense and defense are both ranked 23rd right now in yards. Mm-hmm. The amount of first-round talent on that front four, what we've seen them do at the highs of 2020, even with the shitty quarterbacks were played, makes me say this was supposed to be a year, especially on defense, that you took the next step. You didn't. Unless I see remarkably improved defense, we need someone else in here to take advantage of the talent that is in the doors.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think a lot of fans would agree with that. Now, I want to talk about the offensive side of the ball.
Let's go.
Because there are thoughts to be had there as well.
A ton of them. Mostly negative. I do want to say that actually, I rewatched some of the first half, because that was a bit more of a positive period. And I was just sort of curious. The first drive was fine until we got a false start. Trey Turner. He got benched by the end again.
Next thing you know, we got a dude running right through on 2nd and 12, completely free. Trey Turner's responsibility. Okay.
Neville Gallimore.
Believe it was. And Carson barely got it off before getting sacked. And so that drive sort of summed up the whole game for me, which was we had a couple nice moments running the ball, actually quite a few running the ball. Jonathan Williams actually looked pretty sharp out there. But then we would shoot ourselves in the foot. It was either bad O-line play or Wentz just with an inaccurate ball, and I will attribute some of the inaccuracy. He already is sort of inaccurate. We know that, but I will attribute some of it to the line doesn't hold up, and so he sees ghosts in the second half. I think it's the second time that's happened in as many weeks. He just doesn't trust it. There needs to be trust between the O-line and the QB. And if the QB's thinking, oh, I'm about to get hit, even when no one's there because he's conditioned to think so, we're fucked. It's as simple as that. I don't know how many games you can win that way with the QB thinking, I'm going to get hit. I just need to throw it. And mechanics be damned at that point because you're just trying to get it out. I'm not trying to save Wentz either, just to be clear. It's on him as well. I mean, $28 million.
No need to sugarcoat, buddy.
It's on the O-line. It's on the quarterback. They need to be better. They both need to be better. I don't know what it is. And I think Scott Turner needs to do a better job getting it out quickly. I thought he did very early on, getting it to McLaurin, getting it to Samuel, trying to get it to Jahan more, because I don't trust this O-line. And this QB looks a hell of a lot better. If we got KDot smoking now, look at what happens when we go 1-3 and we lose to Dallas.
Once again, I'm not panicking.
Yeah.
I just lit up to be comfortable because everything you said, I agree with. I just want you to keep going, man. Keep speaking that gospel. I need a cigarette after that.
No, you're right. I mean, it's very frustrating because you see the amount of talent we have, right? We have these three wonderful wide receivers. You can already say Jahan's a wonderful wide receiver based on what he's done so far. Three wonderful wide receivers. Antonio Gibson, I don't think has had a fumble yet. I'm trying to rack my brain real quick. We've talked about the fumbling problems. He hasn't had one. JD McKissick's look good. Jonathan Williams look good. So what the fuck, right? Like, everything's looking good, but the O-line and QB, if we can't figure that out, and I don't know if that means going out to free agency, and this is where we talk about the talent evaluation, right? Norwell, Turner coming in, Scherf out.
Flowers and free agency, still sitting at home.
Still sitting at home, right? So, like, do you give him a call? For example,
the call should have been made 3 weeks ago. The call should have been made in the offseason.
But I'm not sure because I think it's also a prideful staff, right? Because
bingo, bango, bongo. What James Reeves say that is. You nailed it. Look, man, I don't disagree with anything you said. Here's what I will do. I'm going to highlight a couple positives.
Okay, go ahead.
It's only a little bit. The offensive game plan, for the most part, was exactly what I've been asking for. I'm not going to take that away from them.
Early on, it was, yes.
Early on, throughout the game, there were a lot of guys in the flat, open. There were we maintained the running game that we talked about. Actually, had a fairly good running day if you look at the stats.
Mm-hmm.
Gibson was the only one that struggled, at least getting good average yards. But a lot of it was just terrible. Sticking to the positive. Jonathan Williams, cast off running back, was watching the game with somebody say, "Who the fuck is that? What happened to Jared Patterson?" Get Robinson coming back, who looked amazing in preseason.
God,
is I'm not going to say he's the savior of the offense.
I said it last week. No,
you've been saying that.
Yeah,
the same. But I'm still going to remind you to keep you humble. Cole Hogan was a superstar. So that got brought up when I was watching the game this weekend too.
I mean, you look. Hey, listen. You look historically at Bama running backs; they are good in this league.
With Trent Richardson.
Okay, you picked one that wasn't. Okay, you picked one. There's Josh Jacobs. There's now I'm blanking everybody. Derrick Henry. Any number of guys. Najee. Any number of guys.
Trent Richardson.
That are good running backs from
Bama. Yeah, didn't Forrest Gump. So beyond that,
I'll be back.
I hate that fucking movie. So beyond that, look, Ron Robinson coming back. The offense, as far as the game plan that I saw, Scott Turner early on did exactly what it is I asked of him, and that gives me hope. That does give me some hope because I don't think the game plan itself was terrible. I really don't. I think on offense was a matter of poor talent evaluation at certain positions and terrible play. And if I put that on the coaches and put that on the players, whatever, they didn't play the way they needed to in this game, at least in certain positions. Look, getting the skilled players the ball in space is something that needs to happen in this offense. The only thing, like you said so eloquently about Carson Wentz, and I'm going to say it not as eloquently, is he looks like he's shell-shocked. He looks like a rookie shell-shocked quarterback. He gives me vibes of David Carr in Houston or Patrick Ramsey behind the offensive line back in the early 2000s, right? Where you're getting your brains bashed in so you don't trust anything. And all of the stuff that you're supposed to work on to make it second nature, you're now thinking entirely too much and things aren't happening the way they need to happen. There's no instinct happening on the field anymore. Every time that you see one of those balls on third down that gets sailed above somebody that might have had a shot, no, not even third, it's not third down, or second down. There were a lot of second down throws. On second down, you see the ball get sailed over. You look and you see two Commanders players wide open in the all-22. Commanders players that literally could have a lead blocker in certain circumstances if you gave him the ball correctly in space, right? But Carson not looking at it. He's trying to push the ball downfield. There were so many moments where he could have checked down that he chose not to, and moments in which he could have thrown far that he checks down unnecessarily. It was, what's happening with you right now, bud? Where's your head at in this right now, bud? And yeah, you're right. Part of the where your head's at is that it's hard to think when you're constantly getting fucking hit and hit hard.
I'd go the opposite. You're thinking too much when that happens, and
That's
you're not
fair.
in your flow state.
Right.
Where your
You're
mind is off.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that like you're thinking about the pass rush. You're thinking about when you're going to get hit. You're moving around when you don't need to. You're dropping back when you need to step up. It's shit that you usually see from very young quarterbacks with terrible offensive lines. Mm-hmm. The thing is that now you're a vet, buddy. You're a vet. You're not a rookie. This isn't something that's okay from you. The reason you're seeing a lot of people call for Taylor Heinicke is that Heinicke is not a guy that ever gets shell-shot regardless of what's happening with the offensive line. And I give it, they've played better under Taylor Heinicke over the last couple of seasons than they are right now. Mm-hmm. And that goes to the talent evaluation. But you need somebody, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I need a quarterback with the selective memory of a goldfish, right?
Yes.
You need to choose what to remember and what not to remember. And you got to go back out there with a clean slate every time. And he's not doing that.
No,
how many times did he back up into a sack when the offensive line has no real feel for what Carson is doing back there?
That's a point I'm really glad you hit on. His pocket presence is, I'll call it bizarre. Like, he'll have moments where it's like, oh, wow, his escapability is incredible. And then he'll have moments where he has no fucking clue he's about to get rocked. Like, and he's walking into it, or he's backing into it, or he's going to the side as the dude is ready to spear him. Like, there's
no cohesive between the quarterback and the offensive line position.
Correct. At this point, what is there to be hopeful for? Now, like you said, people have been calling for Taylor Heinicke. Not everybody, but some people. Some people are saying Sam Powell. Let me tell you right now, I'm not putting Sam Howell behind that line, first and foremost.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I want the kid to feel good about himself and think to himself, I could turn this around. That's all I want from him this year. Taylor, I'm not turning to Taylor just yet, right? Because it's just been 4 games. And part of the point of this move is that you can get out of Carson Wentz after 1 year if it continues to go like this. So complete your evaluation and then go thank you for the high draft pick if it continues going this way and move on.
I can agree with that. I will say this, though. The window for Carson's opportunities is closing. I
don't know about that. I think they'll stick with him for
here, and it goes back to the stubbornness of the coaching staff, which I get that.
Listen, I agree that the window should be what you're describing.
Right. The only thing right now is what's becoming glaring to everyone that's watching is that the skills group, when healthy now, with a healthy Curtis Samuel, with a Jahan Dotson, who hopefully is back in a few weeks, just a couple weeks.
Seems like a couple weeks, yeah.
With Terry McLaurin, having other guys that they could kind of spread the ball around, with tight ends that have not really been fitting into the game plan at all receiving wise because they got to be sitting back there to block. We've talked about, while it is nice to have a Carson Wentz throw the ball downfield, and with these weapons, you should be able to. And he had a couple beautiful, gorgeous throws in this game, right?
Yeah.
You can't live for one or two of those moments a game when you know that if you have somebody with just pocket presence and they can get the ball out quick to some of these guys in the flat, some of these guys in these short slants, things like that, where they can make the plays, that's going to end up being more important. I think what the coaching staff is going to get to a point in realizing is if this guy literally can't get the ball to our playmakers to make anything happen, it might be a cost too much to bear.
Okay. See, the reason I could see that being a thought, I could see them not acting on it because we've talked about the stubbornness, but also this is them calling their shot. They have spoken glowingly about Carson Wentz.
Because it has to make sense, right? Because the only reason, because Carson Wentz is here, Matt Ioannidis is not, Tim Settle is not,
right?
Landon Collins is not. They didn't make any other moves because the money had to go to Carson. So I get it. They backed themselves into a corner in which it has to work out for them, right?
Has to.
They're married to it, right?
Which is why it won't change. They won't bench him.
Here, if you get to a point in which you know. Now, here's the other part about the Carson Wentz thing that we have to understand. If they move off of him, they can't go back. That's the thing with Carson, is that there'd even be a part of me that says if he plays like this the next 2 weeks, you give Taylor a start. You say it's unacceptable. If it was any other quarterback than Carson Wentz, I'd say you'd almost say it's unacceptable to get this level of player to start in a quarterback position. We're giving him a week to chill, and we're going to see what's happening with this other guy. And if Taylor goes out there and throws an egg, then you go back to the other guy. But Carson is not. He's built the anti-way of that. We already established how much it is that he's thinking entirely too much on the field, off the field. That's just how he rocks. He'd never be able to bounce back from that.
Never. Absolutely never. Especially because this is his third team in as many seasons.
But that's the thing is that, like, I still look at this, right? And I'm looking at the offense, and this is and I know people are going to say this is excuse making because you had 3 years, whatever. There have been legitimate changes to the offensive line and injuries that compounded on that, right? We are still extremely early in the season. Most of the times when you have like the offensive line injuries that occur like this, it's almost a war of attrition, right? These are usually breakdowns you see in week 7, week 8, week 9. Like the offensive line gradually, oh shit, we got to put together this makeshift thing where at least you have some sort of cohesiveness on offense. The offense has kind of been in play. They understand each other. They know what's up. And then it's just, all right, we got to get this one guy up to speed with what it is we're doing.
Right.
This is an offense with a new quarterback that literally had this offseason. We've talked about the offseason in the sense of like how little they are actually able to practice with the limited preseason also and no hitting that occurs. This is an offense that's still very fucking new. The weapons that they have and how it is they're going to fit him in, it takes a while for offenses to kind of gel into that kind of circumstance. Now, I know people are going to look at some of the other teams. You look at Jacksonville with Doug Peterson. You look at, and it's hard for me to write an excuse for the Washington that, right? But I do give I give them some time to get it figured out. The only thing is I don't see it getting better unless they figure out a way to keep Carson upright. Or if Carson can just work on himself over the course of a week and just, hey, I got to do this, I got to do that. Because I really do think they are one game away. They're one solid offensive game away from being okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would completely agree with that. There's enough here. There's enough here to continue to have hope, to continue to go. Look, we went against a very good defense Okay.
The best pass rush in the league.
Right. We went against a really good defense, and Philadelphia's is nothing to sneeze at either. So when you look at it, when we played Detroit at Jacksonville, and Jacksonville actually seems to have a half decent defense, we did well. Right.
Yep.
So I would just say pump the brakes a little bit on the offense is completely dead. Just to speak to KDot's point. But completely understood the frustration. I'm pissed off. KDot's pissed off. Like, we're all pissed off here. Just if we were to look at these last two games, we played two of the better teams in the NFC. Mm-hmm. And Cooper Rush, who you talked about checkdowns, the one play that highlights to me is a check down on 3rd and 6 to Zeke on the opening drive, where he scanned the field, went, no, oh, Zeke. And that was about 25, 30 yards. You know,
Carson won't do that. And they're even like the intentional grounding. Terrible.
He should have thrown that away ages ago.
There's so many times where it's like, just, dude, throw it away. It's not working that play. Eat it. Live for the next down. Live for the next play. And he does too many things that make you think he's just shell-shocked.
So we'll see. I mean, we've talked about it before. This entire season hinges on his confidence. It's as simple as that. If he is very, very confident, look out. We actually have a good team, and the defense that is playing a little bit better will feed off of that. In that sense, that's the team aspect of football. Yes, they're 2 different units, special teams as well, 3 different units, but they feed off of each other. They're affected by the score, how they play, stuff like that. If Carson Wentz gets really hot, and he can, look out. Seriously, look out.
And that's the thing is, like, it's going to me, it's going to be a couple breakout games from some of the skills position guys that really get it there. The offensive line, I can't fathom why Eric Flowers isn't getting called.
I mean, I think we've talked about it. We can fathom why.
I can't.
We don't understand, no.
It's
bullshit. He should be called. He should absolutely be called.
It's because here's the thing: the Eric Flowers story is a success story for us.
Yes, it's just pride, dude. That's literally it. How else do you explain him not being on the roster right now? You can't. That's the thing. It's literally pride. We're watching a terrible offensive line that has actually been a strength of this team for the last 2 seasons fall apart. And there are options out there, and we refuse to look at them. That's it. That's why people are high on the coaching staff. They don't take responsibility. Some of them do, but like they typically don't take responsibility. And when they've made a decision, they stick to it to the point that they are being killed by it. And then they go, the players need to play better. Sorry, bud. At that point, it's on you. And a lot of us are feeling that frustration across the board. You know, it's bad when John Keim tweets out organizational failure. I mean, he is the most level-headed, this is what's happening type thing. He's talking about deep-rooted issues. Like, if he's getting frustrated, oh my God. I mean, that's where we're at.
It's rough, but like overall, the defense has been playing better, but I'm losing patience.
We all are, of course.
It's year 3. I've not seen any inroads being made to the scheme defensively. I've not seen anybody try to come with anything clever to put some of the guys in the best position they could have to be in. When you look at the Cowboys' defense, it was amazing on pass rush. I didn't know where Michael Parsons was going to line up at any given point in time during the game. Yeah. It felt unpredictable. And the thing is, and when they were bringing the blitzes and they had guys coming down from the secondary, all kinds of stuff, it felt like, holy shit, I don't know what's going to happen. Carson doesn't know what's going to happen. Our defense feels so fucking vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels as though Jack Del Rio is rinse repeat week in and week out with this defense. And to me, it's getting unacceptable. They've put together 2 solid games back to back outside of the defensive pass interference and the William Jackson stuff. But they need to be this not being, and here's the thing, and this is where we go in the offseason. We talked about in the offseason. There's no excuses this season, right?
Right.
This defense not being top 10 is inexcusable. And that's where I'm at.
I agree. I completely agree.
Offensively, they showed flashes in the first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
There have been more injuries to the offensive line new quarterback, new system. Well, not new system, but new guys getting into a system. There really wasn't a system under Taylor Heinicke because it wasn't really an NFL running offense, honestly. They didn't scheme an offense to Taylor Heinicke because he really legitimately couldn't make certain throws. Physically, couldn't make certain throws.
Yeah.
So it does feel new. Scott Turner, I give credit this last game for adjusting the game plan better than he has the first 3 weeks. It was just a lack of execution on the offensive line, and Carson Wentz has to play better. That's it. Carson Wentz has to play better. The offensive line has to do more. I do think that and trust me, those are not easy things. I'm asking for a lot.
Yeah.
But if those two things get figured out, and I don't know if they will, but if those two things get figured out, sky's the limit.
I had funnily enough, had a question for you. I remember thinking about this, and I don't know why it hasn't come up now. But before we get to the comment mailbag, it is a very simple question, KDot. If our offense played our defense, what happens?
We still made out for a tie.
For whatever reason. Yeah.
Well, with the 23rd ranked offense and defense. I think they offset and they tie. I think it's a game. I think it's the shittiest football game you've ever seen in your life.
I think that's
just
sums
sloppy
up.
And it's bad. And it's because I look at the defense. I'm like, can the pass rush get there? Probably not. But maybe they can get to Carson a few times.
This O-line, they probably could.
Maybe, but is the secondary going to play like the secondary plays?
That's the thing. So
no, the defense would look all right. The offense is not going to score a lot of points, but the defense is also not going to score on any turnovers. So
right. But all you're saying is which unit looks better?
Defense.
Defense.
Okay. Defense will look better than the offense, at least initially.
I think it's a surprisingly interesting question. I don't know why that came up for me earlier today, but I remember being like, you know what? I don't know.
I don't think I've ever thought of it that way.
Yeah. It's a great sort of current state assessment, if you will, where you just sort of check in.
I don't know why that question never been posed to me before. That's a hell of a question.
Glad you liked it.
I'm going to think about that. I want to put more thought into it, and we talk about it a little bit just briefly on the next episode.
And by the way, as we get into the comment mailbag now, and thank you all for the comments, really appreciate it. We'd love for you guys to answer too. If our offense played our defense, which unit looks better? That's the question. It's as simple as that. But we go to the comment mailbag, and we begin with paliforlyfe, who says, and thank you for the comment, by the way, my brother and I have a couple Portis jerseys we're convinced are cursed. If we wear them, we'd lose. Couple questions. Number one, do you guys believe in curses? And the second question, if you could curse one of the following people, Yacht Bitch or at RidgeWhereYaHelmetAt, who would you choose? Why? And what spell would you cast on the foregoing adversary, Monsieur X? Why don't we begin with the curses? Do you believe in them? And then we'll get to if you could curse one of the following.
I don't know if I outright believe in curses or superstitions. That does not prevent me from partaking. And the reason I partake is one of those things in the sense of if it doesn't cost me a lot of time or effort, why not?
Go for it. Yeah, I fuck it. I believe in curses. Yeah, why not? Especially because in the second part of the question, I'm going to have to curse somebody. So who am I cursing? I mean, it's got to be Yacht Bitch.
It's easily Yacht Bitch.
Got to be Yacht Bitch, obviously. But what spell would you cast?
It'd be a hypnosis spell that Yacht Bitch would give KDot all of his fucking money.
All of it. Does that include the team?
Well, when the NFL finds out he no longer has any money, they have to put it up for auction.
Oh, God.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I was going to say you didn't even ask for that.
I don't want it. I don't want the team. I want his money. Now, if the money's wrapped up in the team, I'll take it and put together an ownership group. You know what? Fuck it. Give me the franchise, Yacht Bitch.
Yeah, because then you could just sell it. That's even more money.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'd want a minority owner.
Or a minority owner, okay.
Antonio Brown.
You
call me up, bro.
Wow.
I'm joking.
That would be an electric franchise.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine 5 years from now, Commanders fans, we missed the days of Dan?
You ever seen an owner play wide receiver? Because we would have 4 wide receiver sets with the owner on the field.
I put together an ownership group. It would be like me, Kanye. No, I'm joking.
For the sheer fact that I've thoroughly enjoyed that answer, KDot. Pally for life, I would do the same thing. Exact same spell. Just give it all to KDot. Just watch this happen. I know KDot would take care of me, so I appreciate it.
I'd have to. I'm trying to figure out who it is I'd hire. Like my dream team of like team president or all I heard. Like what's Mike McCarthy? No, not Mike McCarthy. What the fuck am I talking about? What's Mike Holmgren doing?
He's your team president.
I think he is. I think he's my team president.
I think he is too.
Tony,
you know what? That'll be fun. Maybe that's an after the pod question. Who's on your staff? Second comment is from Nandini Singh. Hey, shout out. That's my sister. Love you.
Oh, legit.
Yeah. At 5852. Oh crap. I'm not about to click that. Same KDot. She agrees with you somewhere. We really appreciate that, and I'm sure KDot appreciates it.
It was 58-52 the last video. Go to the next question. I'm trying to queue it up, and then we'll see.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for the comment, Nandini. Now we move on to Bloodklot, who writes, I agree that we need to get the ball off quickly, and I think a lot of that read comes right at the line with our tight end or running back. Punish them for sending Micah Parsons rush in after the QB. Have our tight end, Logan Thomas, block Parsons, or at least chip block him. If Parsons pulls back to cover Logan, then you know you have another second to look for Terry, Dotson, or Samuel. If after the chip block, Parsons still comes in, you know Logan is open. Kind of like a monkey in the middle scenario. I know it's not that simple, but you can't rush that many people in without someone being open. These are the risks of blitzing. That's why if we keep with the short pass mentality, it messes with their psyche. Honestly, we should be using Davis like they're using Parsons. I think a lot of us agree. We should be rushing Jamin Davis a whole lot more.
Not quite just like him, but doing some things that Parsons does.
And there's a little bit more. Our strengths over the years has been short passes, control the clock, and don't make mistakes like penalties and turnovers. I agree with that. If we do that, the offense makes 10-minute drive. Shout out the Tampa game last year. Lets the defense rest, and the opposing offense doesn't have many times to attempt the score. We haven't been the flashy 180-yard plus pass touchdown team in a long time. So unless the coverage assignment has been busted and we have Terry all alone, let it go. Just go for short yaks. Thank you for the detailed comment there, Bloodklot. Think we completely agree.
I have never agreed with the comment more than I've agreed with that one.
I was going to say, I think he just absolutely nailed it.
He nailed it. Like, that's the thing, is that what I was talking about the pedestrian offense that we had under Taylor Heinicke. Guess what we did? We won. We looked more winning than we do now. And that's the thing, is like to have a guy kind of do what Taylor was doing and not asking him for the world, but then in the opportunities where there is a breakdown that has the arm to make them pay. Who wouldn't want that right now?
Yeah, I would. Again, completely agree. We really appreciate the comment there, Bloodklot. And then we got Tony. Love you, Tony. Shout out, Tony. Couple comments back to back, beginning with the first one. I think Eagles fans hate on Carson so much because they want to feel like their organization made the right decision 2 years ago. I agree with that. At 3-0, obviously, they got, well, now 4-0. They got some things right, but they want to continue to justify why their organization's narrative. I think that probably is the reason they boo him, is because, hey, we thought you were the one. You weren't. We're better without you now. I think that's what it is.
Hey, Eagles fans, you dumb sons of bitches. You did get it right. Now shut the fuck up and enjoy Jalen Hurts. Like, you ain't got to rub the shit in. Shut the fuck up and keep it moving.
I would appreciate that as well. It's absurd.
Goddamn Eagles fans, man.
We're
Eagles fans are Red
for
Sox,
you, Carson.
Like,
Come on. Yeah. And then Tony, also with the plan. I think I figured out how to stop Micah Parsons. Number 1, get the plays in quick and get to the line early. Number 2, run max protection with one running back and our best blocking tight end or backup lineman in the backfield. Number 3, motion the lineman to the gap where Parsons is blitzing to ISO him. If Parsons moves, reset the motion and adjust. You know what? That's sort of an interesting idea, because having a backup lineman in, we already know the 5 we have are not cohesive. May as well add a 6th. And if you just keep throwing him on the same side as Micah, I mean, there's no need to disguise it, right? We are quite clearly attempting to double Micah. Now, the problem is if you have a backup lineman in and he is playing middle linebacker, because he is known to play all over the fucking place, that becomes insanely difficult, but it's an intriguing idea. Kiddo, you don't seem convinced.
Do you remember, without looking, do you remember how many sacks Dallas had against us?
No, I want to say it felt like 5 or something like that.
2.
That was it? The amount of pressure they got.
It's 2. So when you're talking about stopping Micah Parsons, he never sacked us once. He never sacked Carson. He never get to Carson. That's my thing, is that there was no time, and it compounded with terrible decision-making by Carson Wentz. There were aspects of the offense that were designed to neutralize the guys getting home. And if you look at the all-22, Carson didn't pull the trigger on certain plays that he needed to. And on other things, he sailed the ball when he could have done something, when he could have checked it down. Like, there were so many of those times that is what was going on. That is what was happening. The stat line that's 25 of 42. 25 of 42. That is ridiculous. That has to, his completion percentage should be high as fuck.
Yes.
That to me that's the thing, is how much we're leaving on the field.
Yeah.
You had the 2 interceptions because of pass rush and terrible decision making, but they didn't get home.
Yeah. And it was a 56.6 passer rating. So not a good day. Not a good day for our quarterback. And then Devolia Jones wrote, really? That was about it in response to Tony. Appreciate that comment as well. RidgeWhereYaHelmetAt chimes in, who did not get cursed today. Shout out RidgeWhereYaHelmetAt. And thanks again for the 2 comments there, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
The only things I have to look forward to in life anymore are district divided and Colombian women named Sophia. And that is RidgeWhereYaHelmetAt. Really appreciate the comment. Enjoy the presence of the Colombian women named Sophia while you're there. And we really appreciate you enjoying the podcast as well, bud.
Who am I? I'm gotta go and watch District Body.
Sophia.
Enjoy Columbia. Which way on that? I did find out where your sister was alluding to in the question earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
It looks as though I didn't want to turn the sound up all that much, but it looks as though it was around that area where I was talking about going to Duke Ellington. So did she get into Duke Ellington as well?
No, she considered it.
She considered it. Okay, got it. So huge. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
One thing looking back on as far as a regret, what could have been?
Hey, people have that question all the time. It's all about moving forward.
Right.
And that's the thing. So I will say that Duke Ellington, Nandini, and I know I'm biased, but objectively incredibly talented. And I actually think she would have fit really well at Duke Ellington. She ended up going to school without walls. And we were 4 or 5 years apart. So like as I graduated, it was gone. She became a freshman. So that was the gap there.
School Without Walls was my top choice coming out of Hardy. My dad went to go pick up the application and got into a screaming match with the principal, and I didn't go.
Oh, man.
I just didn't apply.
Shout out. That's dad. Bloodklot with another one. My comments got deleted. Did I guess too close? Now, the reason I read that one, and thank you again, Bloodklot, love you, bud, for 2 comments, is because did I guess too close makes me think, remember we talked about last week on After the Pod, Rachel McAdams, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Florence Pugh, and maybe someone guessing the plot of that. I wonder if Bloodklot had that comment
where
he guessed it, because I actually don't see it. So initially he wrote, my comments got deleted. Did I guess too close? And I assumed he meant the detailed comment that I read. And I'd replied saying, no, I see it. But if he's referencing a guess, then I don't see it. And we certainly didn't delete it. We never touched the comment.
Yeah, Bloodklot. I loved the comment earlier about the offense and what it is they need to do. So shoot it over again, and we'll be hounds as far as the notifications. Or Dish Divided on Twitter, which everyone should be following if you have a Twitter.
At District Divided.
At Dish Divided. Shoot us a DM or just tweet at us.
We'll make it happen. Yeah. All right. And then the last comment that I'm seeing here, Freddie Lee, everyone slept on Heinicke and he smoked their asses and proved he can play in the NFL. Granted, he is not a franchise starting QB, but Heinicke is Washington franchise backup QB. That's Rush. If we go into this game sleeping on Rush, he's going to, hold on one second. Oh, shout out Brendan, who just texted both of us saying, when is District Divided out? Need it. Love you, Brendan. Appreciate it. It's Comment Mailbag. It's a comment as well. Let me quickly go right back through that. Heinicke is not a franchise starting QB, but Heinicke is a Washington franchise backup QB. That's Rush. If we go into this game sleeping on Cooper Rush, he's going to do to us what Heinicke did to Tampa Bay in 2 games. He was 1 play away from being 2-0 versus the GOAT Brady. If we cut Heinicke right now, he will be signed as a backup QB within 8 hours being released. Thank you for the comment, Freddie Lee. Really appreciate it. Now, obviously, we would not be in any sort of position to be releasing Taylor Heinicke right now.
Ever.
At the end of the season, maybe.
No.
Because his deal's out. Sam Howell's there, depending on how they feel about him. And if we have a high pick, we may be drafting somebody. I don't know.
Don't care. Keep him.
I want to keep him, just to be clear. Everyone here loves Taylor Heinicke.
He's a backup quarterback in the same vein as like when Pittsburgh had Charlie Batch or Tommy Maddox, or when New England right now with Brian Hoyer, who they're very glad they have right now, right? Like, do not overrate having a backup that you can trust.
Well, Bailey Zappi did look pretty nice for New England. So Hoyer goes down with an injury in the first quarter, and Zappi
came in, right?
Zappi came in, looked pretty good, but actually, I'm glad we thought about this because the New England Patriots had no business being in an overtime game at Lambeau with Bailey Zappi coming in at QB for his first ever NFL action. What did they do? They ran the ball to the point where Green Bay knew it was coming and it didn't matter. We talk about the identity of this team. That is the identity of this team. That's why I'm so excited for Brian Robinson to show up, because I think he can help us do that. Just wanted to say that as we now spin more into positive zone here.
They're not going to start Zappi long-term for years.
No. I know that. I'm just saying the offensive adjustments that they made were like, fuck it, we're just going to run like 100 times.
Yeah, that's New England.
They got to OT. Well, thank you guys so much for the comments. Really appreciate it. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast where we come at you twice a week, Monday nights for the day after. Typically, we've only done this for losses so far, so hopefully we get a win soon. And of course, Friday, 2 p.m., where we preview the matchup coming up on Sunday. For the Chicago Bears game, we'll probably have to record on Tuesday or something like that, have that come out on Wednesday so that it is in time for the Thursday night game against Chicago. But once again, District Divided, thank you guys so much for listening. So until Friday, 2 p.m., take it easy. Okay, so I bought a lamp. I was trying to put it together, and I made some progress. Okay, so I'm going to show it to you guys right now. Right, so hold on. I guess you're seeing the setup as well. Okay, so there's the lamp. It looks very sad right now. That's because it is.
That box of tissues right next to the computer. Is there a bottle of lotion on the other side?
Oh man. Okay. So another thing I now feel the need to explain is that sometimes I'll wake up with morning congestion. So,
yeah, you got to get it all out.
Yeah. Where exactly are you?
You're a little backed up.
Right. And this is the
sorry. Lamp.
All I'm saying. All I'm saying is, Kate, I think I need your help with with the rest.
No, I'm not helping you.
No, I'm just going to show it to you. One second.
Don't show that to me. What are you showing to me? The lamp?
The lamp.
Got it.
The lamp.
Just make sure you clarify.
Yeah, it's a lamp. All right, hold on. So I got these things. It's a lamp.
The hell is that?
It's a lamp.
Kind of what?
Do you have to unroll it? I have to unroll it. So this is going to attach to these. but I don't think I was doing it right because it wasn't getting all the way across like it's supposed to. This is surprise. Oh, wait a minute. That's Velcro. I think I figured it out. I missed that. This is going to help me put together. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I love this segment. Yeah, I absolutely love this segment. I now have very high confidence that I can finish that up because I was rushing to try and do it in time to get the pod. And
Carson Wentz under pressure. You couldn't get the lamp done, huh?
Wow. I'm inclined to wrap this shit up.
No, hold on. The question was posed early in the pod.
Yes.
If we were owner of the Commanders, I mean, I got to get too deep with it, but
right.
If you had to name a team president and like head coach, who would the combo be?
Okay. Team president, I would go with. Well, okay, hold on. Head coach, just because I missed the guy, Sean McVay.
You can't just hire Sean McVay. He's under contract. They're paying him a lot of money.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me I couldn't just.
You got to keep it realistic. You can't just poach him. What are you gonna offer? What are you gonna offer a lad? Hey, hold on. You think Sean McVay? You think Sean McVay's sexy ass is gonna leave the sunny skies of Los Angeles to come back to DC with that mansion he's got on a goddamn cliff?
$30 million a year. Could you imagine just absolutely shattering the record for money paid to a head coach? Hell yeah.
I'm not giving McVay that much.
How much are you getting? Well, I'm not paying for fucking yacht maintenance like Dan is, right? Like if I have his money and I just don't get a yacht, I'm paying McVay because I don't give a shit. I didn't make that money. It doesn't matter. Okay, fine. I'm not hiring McVay. Let's see. So I have to think of I also wouldn't offer him $30 million a year. That's absolutely absurd. I would do so much more with that money. Okay. Head coaches. I'm trying to think about available head coaches right now. I could tell you who I wouldn't get.
Who wouldn't you get?
Mike Zimmer. I feel like he would just get in a fight with Carson Wentz.
Zimmer was a defense coordinator?
He was a defensive coordinator. I want an offensive minded guy.
Okay.
Because that seems to be the way the league is trending and it seems to work. Early on, just a few years ago, I was thinking defensive minded guy is the way to go, but the trend has changed. So I would want an offensive minded guy. I do not want a college coach. God, why am I struggling to think of this? Do you have a name?
That's what I'm looking right now to see where it is that I think I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I know. And I think that it would be something that would be lambasted.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I got to rethink it because I like where your head was with Sean McVay, so I started looking at his coordinators. Offense coordinator right now, Liam Cohen, who first year.
Give me Ken Dorsey. Give me Ken Dorsey. Oh. That's who I want. Hell yeah! Are you kidding me? That passion where Ken he absolutely broke those tablets, and someone else had to cover the camera with their hands because
I get it. Well, we're talking about how toxic Ashburn was. We want that guy.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! If you are not going to change, double down. And a lot of people do that. So that's what we're doing. Ken Dorsey, 100%. Feel great about it. Can't wait for every presser. It's going to be awesome. Let's have some fun.
I think I think I'm more inclined to figure out the team president thing and then have them kind of figure out. That's how it should be.
In fact, Ron was the one that helped with the team president and the staff. But
because that's my thing is like I do want an offensive minded guy, and I do want
the team president. Just go with that because you're hiring the head coach.
I'm not going to be team president.
Why not?
Talk about curses earlier. Part of me thinks Ashburn just might be cursed. I ain't trying to blame.
Oh, you ain't trying to get there. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I'd say I'd let the fan base know. I'd actually come out on TV and I'd let the fan base know, hey, so I'm hiring a team president, and I'm giving him a 5-year contract.
Okay.
And I need all of you guys. You've been patient for 30 years. I don't expect you to be more patient, but 5 years, new rebuild, coaching staff. We think we got talent here in the organization, but I'm going to take my hands off. You'll see me in the owner's booth and the jerseys going fucking crazy, but I had a team president that's going to build this team up. They're going to bring in a new head coach. They're going to bring in new coordinators. Going to bring in the whole nine. Just bear with me and give me 5 years. And after 5 years, if I have not gotten this team back to championship glory, like it was all like not a Super Bowl, but like we've made a Super Bowl or in an NFC championship game, I will sell the team.
I love that. I love that for your fans. Because they're like, you know what? Well, would you sell the team?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just lip service.
No, because the idea of not having to work, being a billionaire, and have my own goddamn yacht and watch the games on NFL Sunday Ticket and never have to lift my finger again, I don't have that much ego. I'm good.
I love
You're just going to know that I'm here for the 5 years to make sure that nothing in Ashburn is going to get fucked up.
Oh, I would have a sweet time.
Oh, and our podcast would be amazing.
Our podcast
would
be
access.
Awesome. Oh my God.
Just we lose a game. So your team sucks ball. Yeah, I know, man.
And you know what? Everyone that's in the comment mailbag that's consistent gets hired. And they just help us run the show.
No.
Yes, absolutely. The show.
Which show? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're not a new organization. I ain't doing that.
Well, it depends. I mean, I'd at least have a conversation with them.
Bloodklot, I think he might be the assistant to the team president after what I heard he say when he wants to do an offense.
Not assistant team president, assistant to the team president.
To the team president.
Okay, right. Very important distinction there.
Would Joe Gibbs come back being team president? No.
If we run it, hell yeah.
No, because that offense would look horrendous.
He's not head coach. Oh,
he'd hire.
Oh, okay. No, Ken Dorsey, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, Ken Dorsey's the way to go. He is so fun that the team president, because here's the thing. If you're hiring the team president first and then you're deciding on the head coach, you're ultimately going to have to pick one anyway. That's literally the exercise right now.
So we're both saying we're firing Jason Wright. That's what we're.
Yeah. The fictitious, because I think he's done. I think he's done a good job. Like Ron, it's been about righting the ship. To hell with that. I just want a good on-field product. That's literally all I want, as it turns out. There could be all sorts of crap. I just want to win. I just want to win KDot. I just want to win so badly.
Nah, I can't follow you with that. I think what I might do, and I think about this before we wrap up, I might back up that brake truck to Mr. Bill Belichick up in New England. I think he wants out.
Dude, that would be pretty cool. Now, how about him as team president?
That's kind of where I'm going with it.
Okay, I like that. So Belichick team president, Dorsey head coach. We're winning so many Super Bowls.
I'm not picking his head coach.
He would pick Ken Dorsey. Who would Bill pick? Okay, last thing before we go.
The only stipulation I have, he's not allowed to hire another Belichick. Beyond that,
that's fine. Yeah, no, we're not having Steve.
Yeah,
Steve.
It's literally the only thing in the contract.
Steve Belichick, just that name alone suggests he should have like a name tag, like when he's coaching that just says Steve on it. It's literally it.
Yeah, I think that's but Bill. Like Mike Holmgren, and he hasn't done anything in a minute. I'd love to have Mike around somewhere.
I want someone just as hot-headed as Ken Dorsey.
I don't want to go in that direction.
I just want to have fun.
I know.
Let's just get a little crazy in here.
Nah. You know what I might do? Right the wrongs of the past and hire Greg Williams.
Not opposed. Now, hey, you talk about a dynamic coaching staff with Ken Dorsey and Greg Williams.
Oh man, can you imagine?
It's a fun time. Or you get Ken and Rex, Rex Ryan.
Can I hire both Ryans?
Hell yeah, of course you can.
I don't want to.
They don't have to be in a football capacity. They can just hang out.
Is there any? I don't want anyone in the college ranks. I don't want Nick Saban. Even if Nick Saban was offering something, I wouldn't want it.
We've seen it. We've seen it in the NFL. He was fine.
Yeah,
we're not looking for fine. We're looking for excellent. He's the best college coach ever, and props to him. That's great. It's a totally different domain.
Eric Bieniemy? No.
He should be hired. I'm shocked he hasn't been. You don't think so?
The longer it goes, the more I'm starting to realize it might be just him.
You think he doesn't interview well or something like that?
I don't think he interviews well. I don't think he inspires.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen him try to do it, and like people have pointed to like, hey, look at this interview with Eric Bieniemy. How is he not hired as head coach? And when I watched, I'm like, I'm not that impressed. But see, that's another thing. Is like if I had to, like, I want the team president, but I want the team president I want to coach, but I think I'm going to skew towards, if I really had to sit down and do it, I'm skewing towards ex-players.
Mm-hmm. What about current players?
There's not a current player that I want.
You want to take Mahomes as your team president and starting QB?
Absolutely not.
No? If you were offered the opportunity to have Mahomes be team president and he's also your starting quarterback, you wouldn't do it.
Absolutely not.
I think you do it.
I'm not that now. Nope. That's a clusterfuck of clusterfucks. Absolutely not.
All right. Hey, just check.
Yeah, if I had to pick a head coach, Byron Leftwich.
That's actually a good shout.
Comes back home
from the area. Yeah. No, I mean,
fans fiery guy,
have him.
Offensive minded, scheme something up. And then I'd probably make it a point that the defensive coordinator has to be somebody aggressive.
Okay. I respect it.
Warren Sapp.
Could be kind of fun. Oh, man. I'm going to think more about this coaching staff question. This is fun.
Yeah, I agree. That was fun.
All right, everyone. We will see you guys later. Take it easy.
Peace.